Okay, good morning, good afternoon for this Appx Development for Windows 10 Store developer webinar. My name is Paweł Głowacki. I'm working for Embarcadero as a sales consultant. And today I'm going to talk about the latest capability that was introduced in RAD Studio 10.1 Berlin Update 2 Anniversary Edition that was just introduced to the market a few weeks ago. And this is the capability to create an Appx Windows packages that can be deployed to the Windows 10 store directly from inside of the RAD Studio IDE. And I'm going to discuss three things today. So first, I'm going to introduce a little bit about what the Appx package is and what you need to do to prepare RAD Studio for Appx development. So there are certain one-time configuration settings that you need to do, like configuring the Windows 10 SDK. And then I'm going to focus on using RAD Studio for building Appx packages. So there are two modes or two ways of creating Appx packages in RAD Studio. So you can create either an ad hoc package, which means that you are using a local digital certificate that you can create yourself, and you can deploy the Appx package locally. So this is great for testing, for developing your Appx packages. And once you are ready and prepared for deployment to Windows Store, then I'm going to show you the steps to what you need to do in order to deploy your Appx packages to Windows 10 Store. So this presentation is recorded, so anytime you feel like having a question, feel free to enter the question in the question pane in the GoToWebinar control panel. So at the end of this presentation, there will be opportunity to handle any questions that you might have. And if there will be no opportunity, please visit community.embarcadero.com. I'm going to post today on my blog all the links and all information that I'm going to present today. So this is also a great source of information if you are interested in building Appx packages with RAD Studio 10.1 Berlin. Okay, so first of all, the latest update to RAD Studio has added the support for the latest version of Windows 10 Anniversary Edition. So Windows 10 has been released to the market a year ago, but this summer the new important build has been made available by Microsoft, and this new version of Windows 10 adds support for Windows Store. So if you want to build applications for Windows Store, first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have a correct version of Windows installed. So RAD Studio Update 2 added support for this latest version of Windows, and in RAD Studio we have also support for the latest versions of other supported operating systems. So back in Update 1 to Berlin RAD Studio, we have added support for iOS 10, Android 7 Nougat, and macOS Sierra. So what is Windows 10 and why it's so interesting to Delphi and C++ Builder developers? So basically this opens a brand new channel for publishing your existing apps. So this support that has been added to RAD Studio is based on a so-called desktop bridge, or previously that was known as Project Centennial. So this is a capability to take an existing Win32 or Win64-bit Windows application and convert it into the Appx format or Appx package, so it is ready to be distributed for the Windows 10 store. So instead of distributing and publishing your applications yourself, you can now leverage the power of a Windows Store market and the availability of a Windows Store options in a Windows 10 that is now really probably the most popular version of Windows operating system. So what I'm going to show you today is the Windows Store is not fully open for desktop bridge applications, you need to specially apply for it, and you need to be accepted. So over time probably it will be fully open, but right now there are some extra steps that you need to go through, and I'm going to discuss this towards the end of this presentation. But from the perspective of RAD Studio developers, it is important that you can create applications that are either Win32 or Win64-bit. They can be either VCL or FireMonkey application. They can be built with Delphi or with C++ Builder. This could be your existing VCL application that you have been building for the many years so far, and now you can package it and distribute it through brand new channels. So this is very, very interesting. Technically, the Appx package is just a zip file that contains some additional new artwork that is required by Windows Store, and a special manifest file, which is an XML file that tells the operating system more about your application. If you are deploying to Windows Store, in this manifest file, you need to put certain information that is provided by Microsoft when you create your application online. So in principle, this is still a regular, not virtualized application that has full trust. It's a desktop application, but the only thing is that the installation is different. All the applications that you create with the Appx packages are installed in a standard location. So on Windows 10, that will be in a hidden C program files / Windows apps folder. So that's a standard place where the applications are installed. And also there is a restriction on how application can deal with a file system and with a registry. So basically all the Windows API calls to do something with files or with registry are redirected. So in fact, you are just limited to creating your applications in just your files in a certain location in a file system. And also you have only access to a certain part of registry. So the key goal of the Universal Windows Package Bridge is to separate application state from system state as much as possible while maintaining compatibility with other apps. So this is interesting new capability, and we are going to see how we can do it in RAD Studio. Okay, so there are certain things you need to do to prepare both Windows and RAD Studio for Appx development. So first of all, you need to make sure that you have a correct version of Windows 10. So if you have a Windows 10 and you have been recently updating it through the automatic update feature, you can review the update history and look for information about build 1607. So this anniversary edition of Windows that is necessary for Appx development. The second requirement is that you have a correct version of RAD Studio. So I'm using a full RAD Studio, but you could also use either Delphi or C++ Builder, and this needs to be the latest update too. So the RAD Studio 10.1 Berlin Update 2 Anniversary Edition. During the installation of RAD Studio 10.1 Update 2, there is also an option to install Windows 10 SDK. So this is something that is necessary for Appx development, because Windows 10 SDK comes with some command line tools that IDE needs to know about, and during the building the Appx packages, they are necessary as part of the build process. So make sure that during the installation of Update 2 you have installed Windows 10 SDK. Another thing that you need to make sure is that is set correctly is to make sure that you have a developer mode enabled in your Windows 10 settings. So you can go to the settings, and in update and security there is an option for developers, and then there is a first setting is the use developer features. So by default Windows 10 will have this first checkbox selected, so Windows Store apps. So Windows 10 will only allow to install apps that come from the Windows Store. So if you are going to create your test Appx packages, you need to enable the developer mode, so the Windows 10 will also allow installing applications that are signed with a self-made certificate. So this is something that take a moment. So if you enable this developer mode, Windows 10 will install certain additional packages, and your environment will be ready to be used. Also, inside of RAD Studio, you need to make sure that you specify the location of the SDK Manager. So that's something I'm going to show you in a moment in RAD Studio, just to have right now an overview of all the steps. We need to make sure that that IDE knows about the Windows 10 SDK location. Then if we are going to create ad hoc applications, we need to create a self-signed certificate from inside of the IDE, and then this certificate needs to be installed into Windows. So if you right click on your certificate, there is an install PFX option, and that will launch a wizard that lets you install this certificate, and you can install it in a trusted people store. Again, I'm going to show this step in a second. And then when you are creating your application, that's something you do for every application that you create. You need to make sure that it is a Windows target. So it has to be either Windows 32-bit or 64-bit. So this could be either a VCL or a FireMonkey application. And then you need to make sure that you select Application Store as your configuration. So that will enable certain options in project options. So then you will be able to specify also some artwork that is required by Windows Store. So specifically, you need to provide two PNG files, one 44 by 44 and one 150 by 150 pixels. So that's something you set in project options. And also in the project options provisioning, you can either specify ad hoc or store option. So that will basically change how your Appx package is built. So if you create ad hoc, if you specify ad hoc, you just need to point the project to the correct certificate. If you specify store, you need to enter data that comes from the online store when you create your application. Okay, so let's go into the virtual machine that I have right now here. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see some more information on the screen. So yeah, the first steps that we need to make sure that are properly configured is the settings. So we can go to the Windows settings and make sure that we have proper options configured. So this is in update and security. There is this for developers option, and this is something you need to make sure that it is installed correctly. So you need to make sure that you have a developer mode enabled, and also you make sure that you have a proper version of Windows build 1607. So this is an anniversary edition of Windows. So I'm running this version of Windows, and I'm running RAD Studio 10.1 Berlin Update 2. So make sure you have an update 2. You can verify this in about box, so you can see that this is a proper version of Delphi or C++ Builder Update 2. In the Tools options, so this is a place where you can set globally different settings for your IDE. So first you need to go to the SDK Manager, and here inside of the SDK Manager we have different SDKs that RAD Studio knows about. So if you want to build application, for example, for iOS, you need to install an iOS SDK. If you want to build for Android, you need to install Android. And similarly, if you want to build applications for 32-bit Windows or 64-bit Windows, the location of SDK is the same. And basically, you do it through the add, and you specify the platform. in my case, I have added all the platforms, maybe except for the iOS device 32-bit and iOS simulator, but that's something that I'm not using on a daily basis. So this is an important thing that your IDE knows about the location. These four command line tools that are part of Windows 10 SDK. So you don't need to configure it one by one. The wizard, when you add an SDK, will configure all of them. So these two are quite important. So the make Appx command line tool is responsible for physically creating the Appx package with your application. The make cert.exe tool is a tool that you can use to create those self-signed test certificates that are necessary to sign your package, and that's something that is done with a sign tool.exe. So this is a command line tool to sign your file. The second place to visit here is the I'm going to cancel this because I'm now preparing a new demo, so I have been already done this in the past. So here is the provisioning option, and you can specify the build type. So depending on what you want to build for, there are all kinds of things. So for example, here I can configure for iOS development, and maybe that was not a very wise choice, but you can see that I have a certain certificates loaded here. But in this case, I'm interested in doing a 32-bit Windows development, and my build type is application store. So this could be either ad hoc or store. So these two options you can choose here. So first, let's have a look in building applications for ad hoc distribution. So the first thing you need to do is to create a self-signed certificate. So I'm going to click on create a new certificate, and this is where I can specify a location of a certificate. So it's a good practice, for example, to put it on the desktop, and I can specify this to be called Paweł, like my first name. And I need to also make sure that I specify password. I will need this password later, so it cannot be too difficult. And click on finish, and then wizard will call the make cert.exe command line tool from SDK, and it will create a certificate for you. Click on OK, and then wait for a few seconds, and now the information about the certificate should show up in these options. So this is a good sign. Basically, the IDE knows about our certificate that is already created. So that's something we are good. So now this is something that we do just one time, so we can do it just one time for all the projects. So we have not started any project. So the next thing is actually to go to the desktop and make sure that the certificate that I have just created is installed into Delphi, so into Windows. So one thing is to create it, but we need to tell Windows that it exists. So when we are going to deploy the Appx package that is signed with this certificate, that Windows knows about existence of this certificate that was just created. So we install it just right-clicking and selecting install PFX file, and we can install it to the with a wizard. Certificate import wizard will show up, and we install it in a local machine. And here we can specify the location. So this is the certificate we want to install, and we need to specify the password that was embedded in this certificate, and click on next. In the next, we can specify where we are going to install this certificate. So we can specify a location, and here there are different places, like for example, trusted people will be my certificate store. I want to install this certificate. So now I can click on the next, and if I click on finish, I see the message that import was successful. So now I'm really prepared for the Appx development with RAD Studio. So let's first start with an empty application, and in the case of other targets, when we are targeting iOS, Android or Mac, then we have to use a multi-device application project. But in case of Windows development, we can use either VCL application or multi-device application project template, because they both target Windows, both Win32 and Win64-bit target. So just to make it interesting, or in the second demo, I'm going to deploy a multi-device application. So to make it different, I'm going to create a VCL forms application. I can put something like a button. It's not really important what this application is doing. I can just maybe to make it a little bit more interesting, save it somewhere. So that's a good idea always to Appx Dev will be my folder, and unit 6 will be my main form. Maybe I'll change it to my main form, and project will be my Appx Dev app. So very interesting one. I can change. Actually, I can use some of the new capabilities inside of update 2. I can use quick edits to quickly set up this form. I can do, for example, a main form with a splitter. I can save it. I can add maybe a button somewhere here to the form. I can just use quick edits again to quickly set it up. So change the name. So the quick edits is something that was also added to update 2. It's not a main subject of this presentation, but it's very cool new feature that with quick edits you can access some most commonly used properties in just one place and quickly set up forms. So I'm going to change name property, caption property to be hello from Appx webinar. Okay, that's fine. I can change the layout so it's on top of my panel and click on this one. Okay, and now I can click on save. And that's basically my super new functionality in a quick edits. There is a toolbar added, there is a status bar added, there is a panel aligned to the left, there is another panel aligned to the right with a splitter. So that's make it for a nice application. To make it completely update to where I'm going to change the default style of this application to something Windows 10 specific. So my application looks more Windows 10. I can preview. So these are some of the new styles that were added, VCL styles that were added to update 2. So you can very quickly make your application stand out. I'm going to use this Windows 10 slate gray style for my application. So it's not, I need to make sure that it is selected here. Windows slate gray application. Okay. So that will be my my style, and yeah, I can now see how my application behaves. Maybe I will add some code here. Show message hello from webinar, and that will be my simple application to be deployed locally to my machine as an Appx package. So let's run this application. So okay, you see this is a nice style. I have here this nice splitter. Can click on this one and hello from webinar. Everything looks very beautifully. Maybe also change the caption on the form to be an Appx webinar app. Okay, so that's a nice thing to be deployed. So right now, if I would just go to the Explorer, show in Explorer, so that's the contents of the folder when I have created my application. So you can see the Appx Dev Proc DPR and dproc files. There is also a main form of my application, and inside of this folder Win32, I have a debug subfolder because that's the debug configuration. And here I see the typical compiled output from my application. So this is my Appx Dev app executable. And now I would like to also create not only the executable, but also the Appx package. So right now I can just go to my application, and now I need to change the target platform to be actually not the target platform, but the configuration to switch from a default normal to application store. So when I do it, I see that I can see the Windows 10 SDK number. So that's the SDK that I'm building against. So right now in update 2 there is only one Windows 10 SDK, but I could expect in the future that will be more versions. So for other targets, when you do iOS or Android development, then you have to make sure that you select a proper SDK that is currently configured. You can have more than one. But in case of Windows 10 in update 2, it's easy. There's just one Windows 10 SDK. So you need to set this in order to see options and be able to deploy your application for application store. So in the project options, I need to set certain things of my project. So I go to the project options, and here I have also the appearance, and there is an application node. So here in the application, I need to specify the logo. So actually it's a good idea to select for all configurations, not only for debug configurations. So if I select all configurations, I'm going to set the options for both debug and release configurations. And here you need to provide two different logos. So that's probably something that the first thing that your application would be rejected for the Windows Store if you just use this default artwork. So you need to contact your colleague artist to provide you with some nice artwork. Second thing you want to do is to go into the provisioning, and again I want to select all configurations, and here if I select application store, here I need to point this project to the certificate that I have just created. So I can create this certificate from here, but I have already created a certificate that I can use for multiple different projects. So here I have entered the password, and you can see that ID found this certificate. So that's a good thing. So when I'm going to deploy this application, it will use this certificate for signing. So I'm going to click on OK, and now I'm ready to deploy the application to the Appx. So the one option is to build or compile. So that's just to create an executable, but what we want to do is to deploy. But before I'm going to deploy, I'm going to go to the deployment manager. This is an place that is also used for other configurations. So if I would have more configurations, I can actually just keep this debug configuration. You can see all the resources that will physically go into the Appx package. So the Appx package physically is just a regular zip file, but it will contain our executable. It will contain these two artworks and also the manifest file. So the IDE will provide there is a template. So the moment we are going to deploy, the IDE will modify the template and replace some placeholder values with things coming from our project. So this is the place where we could potentially add other things. So for example, we could use some other things like featured folders. So for example, we may want to, for example, if our application is using the client dataset component, then we probably want to add a MIDAS library. If we are using embedding interbase database, then we can add some additional DLLs with support with the interbase engine and so on. So this is also the place where for example, your application needs to load some resources, like maybe a background for your game, which is a big PNG file. So this is a place where you can add other things that will end up in your package. So click on deploy, and that will physically deploy and create the package. So if I click on, maybe one more time, I click on build, just because that's probably what I would do anyway. So my executable is now compiled with the latest version. Maybe I have just made some last moment changes to my code. So it has compiled OK, and now it is the latest. And now I can click on deploy. So click on deploy, you can see certain things happening here, signing, and now there is no message, but I'm expecting that everything went okay because there was no error message as well. So I can now right click on Appx Dev app node and show in Explorer. So right now we see there are some additional files that have been added to our project. So first of all, there is a template file. So Appx manifest.template. So this is just a template that is now used to add other information as a manifest to our application. If we go to the Win32, our debug configuration, we can now see there is a real Appx manifest, but not template. But if we open this guy in some XML viewer, you can see that this is a contents of the manifest. So we can see these are the assets. There is also information for that it's running in full trust mode. And if we deploy to Windows Store, that will be slightly different information. Here you can also specify the entry point of your application and also the namespace. So by default it's com.embarcadero and the name of your project, but in other case you can actually specify it differently. So here if I go deeper, there is also Appx Dev App subfolder, and here under the bin folder I see this is my Appx package. You can see the extension Appx file. So that's something that was created for me. I can now right click on this guy and click on open, and that will run a wizard that asks me if I want to install it. So obviously I want to install it. Click on install and your application will be now installed into the Windows 10. It will take a moment. I hope nothing is going wrong. So typically that would be faster. Now I have a 0% completed. Hopefully it will install it in a second. Because if something would be wrong, that I would get an error message immediately. So that was something that I was struggling. If you don't enable developer mode at this stage, you would get an error message that you cannot install it locally. But now you can see that my application is being installed into my local Windows 10 machine. So it's 99% completed. So let's wait for this 1% to complete fully. And I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Maybe my application is too fancy or something. But I see that is now ready. So I now can click on launch, and my application now can launch as an Appx package. So it's still the same application, is just packaged differently. You can see that this application is also now available from the start menu. So this is my new Appx Dev app that I can run directly from a start menu. And here I'm going to use a total commander because with a regular Explorer you would not see certain hidden locations. So where this application has been installed. So there is a program files folder and there is a Windows apps folder. So if we go to just a Explorer and click on C program files, we don't see any Windows apps here because it's hidden. So that's why I'm going to use this one. There is an exclamation mark here, and we can go deeper, and I need to go here as an administrator to be able to preview the content. So this is a standard location for different applications, and they are just, there are many App Store packages or Appx packages installed out of the box with Windows. So another interesting thing is to see the Appx package, but again not with Explorer, but directly through the file manager like this one. So I'm going to go into the studio, my projects, and I have my Appx Dev. And if you go to the Windows and debug Appx Dev, go to the bin directory. So this is my Appx package. So if I just go into it, you see that this total commander, also written in Delphi, has an integrated zip and other archive explorer. So it has detected that it's just a zip file, so I can just open it and browse through the different elements that are inside of this package. So yeah, this is how it is physically structured. Maybe not something to manipulate with, because I would imagine that it has been also digitally signed, so you are not able to tamper with the contents of this image. But just for your information, it's just a plain zip file. Okay, so that was the first part of this presentation. So we have been building applications for the for local deployment. So the next thing is to actually deploy application to the Windows Store. So here you see there is an official page with a RAD Studio Windows Desktop Bridge support. So you can get some more information online. So I have some slides following this, but I think it's better if I just go through this process online. So if you want to put your Appx package to the store, you need to sign up for access to the store. So right now, that you need to also accept or enter a certain program, campaign, desktop bridge. So it's not enough that you can be registered as an app developer. So that's something you can do here on developer.microsoft.com. You need to register as an app developer, so you can you will be asked to pay a one-time payment of $19 if you are individual, or $99 if you are a company account, and then you can sign up and you will have your access as a developer. So then you can start uploading applications. But that's not enough. I have been through this process and I have ended up not being able to submit my first Appx package. And that's something that you need to do here. So here you need to enter information in the campaigns desktop bridge, and then you need to let Microsoft know that you want to put your application. And then there are certain requirements here. So basically, the Microsoft will like to know that you are developer and there is an existing website for your application. So, and you can specify optionally your company name. So just to go through this process, I have decided that I'm going to reuse a demo application that I have created a year ago for similar webinar that I have was doing for demonstrating how to deploy applications to Android Google Play Store and for iOS Apple Store. So I have already have this brand or artwork, so it really looks like a regular application. So my company here is Super Lolo, and the name of the application that I would like to put to the store is Molecule Hero. So what are the next steps? So here you have a register as an app developer. So once you have registered as app developer, you can now log in into the Windows Dev Center. So here in the Dev Center, you can create an app. This is a first step in publishing your application. If you click on a create an app, you will be presented with a create your app by reserving a name. So you can basically check, for example, Super Delphi app, and I can check availability. And basically that would go, and I can click on reserve product name, but I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to publish a Super Delphi app anytime soon. But the process is that for the 1 year, this name will be reserved for you. So when you are going to submit an app, you have 1 year to physically submit it. So after you create reserve your name, then you can actually go back to the dashboard. So I have already created a Molecule Hero as an application, and here in the application overview, there are many different information that you need to specify. And depending on your application, First of all, there is an application overview, and here we can have a submission. So I have just started one submission, but it's not finished because of some errors that I have encountered. So you will not see my molecule hero on Windows Store today, but hopefully in coming days or weeks it will be available. So most importantly, here you can specify things like monetization model. So you can specify if you want to make your application free, or you want to make your application with advertisements, if you want to have any in-app purchases, and all kinds of information. For building Appx packages, it's important that you go to the app management and app identity. And once you have created your application, there will be a certain information here, like a package, like an ID that is assigned to your application, and publisher display name is something that you need to decide when you sign up for Microsoft account. And this is information that needs to be embedded in the project options when you build your Appx file. So if you go back to Delphi, I can go back to my project, and here there is a molecule hero project. So this is my project that I have now trying to submit to Windows Store. Let's have a look what this project is doing. So this is a multi-device Delphi application. So I have versions of this application running on Delphi, on iOS and Android. You can find this. Okay, I need to change the configuration to be not an store but normal, so I can really run it and not just build the Appx package out of it. So that will basically, it's a 3D molecule interactive viewer. So you can see there are different molecules. So this is a multi-view, and there is a caffeine as a default most important chemical molecule that probably developers are using, but sometimes you may want to use an aspirin, and you can actually also visualize it with atoms and with just bonds only. You can do some zoom. So on mobile platforms, it's also working with gestures, and there is also an info button that gives you information about Molecule Hero, and specifically there is also a website with some more information, and you need to have a website for your application when you submit a request to be part of the store. So that's an example. It's from this perspective, it's not that important how this application is created. We have certain application that can be built for Windows and can be packaged for App Store or Windows Store deployment. So you can also see that I have other targets here. So my target platform right now is Win32, but I have also a Windows, the Android targets, and also iOS targets, and the configurations for Application Store and configurations for Application Store for Android. Also, there is a possibility to build it for App Store, the Mac App Store. So now in total, I could take the very same source code, the same code, and compile it, this application, for different targets, and also create packages that are ready to be deployed to different stores. But let's focus on the application store here. So if I go to the project options, I can see in my project options the provisioning. So my application, so I need to specify a custom logo. So that's my custom molecule hero logo, so my own design. And here in the provisioning, I need to specify different information. So right now I'm not building for ad hoc, but I'm building for the store. So I need to copy the information from the app identity page, and now I can just put this information and deploy my application with this information embedded, and that will basically be expected by Windows Store. So that was already done. You can actually see if I go into the Explorer, I have a number of targets. So here in Win32 release target, I have my Molecule Hero package created and ready to be submitted. But also there are other targets here, so I can see here there is for example, iOS. I have not actually deployed this project for iOS, but also for Android I can find their APK files ready to be uploaded. For iOS that will be IPA file and so on. So that's a structure. Also, you need to have the artwork. So just for Windows is just 2 files, but artwork for other platforms is much more complicated. You need to provide a big array of different artworks for different devices, and maybe not so much for Android. But that's quite a lot of playing with paint and depending what you want to do. So here you can see also the artwork for other platforms. So if I switch, for example, to iOS, you can see these are all the different formats that you need to specify, and in different sizes and in different orientations. So that's quite a lot of preparation, but for Windows Store is just 2 PNG files. So yeah, so when you're ready, you can go to the submission. Actually, I need to reload this page, and you create a new submission, and I can go through different elements. So yeah, I have stopped with packages. So first you do pricing and availability. So you can specify the price. So you can be free, like in my case, or it can be more expensive. You can specify if there is a trial and how long it takes for the trial to expire. And you can also specify the publish date. So it could be either published immediately after it's certified, or you can specify the publish date on a certain date. There is also a you can go back and see there is also the properties of your application. So you need to specify the category. So this could be business, this could be music, lifestyle, and also the subcategory. In my case, it's just education and early learning about chemical molecules. And these are some of the options that are specified by default. And you can specify also requirements for the hardware. So very much like in the case of mobile applications, you have similar things to specify. And then you have age ratings. So age ratings gives you a possibility to specify if your application is okay for different age categories. So my application is a demo application. I don't have any special requirements. And then you have a package. So this is a place where you can specify your package. So maybe this time will work better. I can actually go to my applications somewhere here, applications, and my Molecule Hero, and I have my version 1.5, which is in fact 1.1.1, and I have a release, Molecule Hero, bin, and you specify Appx package, and it will be added here, and it's now automatically being uploaded. You can see it's 3.5 megabytes, but probably I'm going to get errors just to show you the process. So basically, if this is the analysis of your package is okay, I'm still not accepted for the desktop bridge, so I need to wait. So that's very much it as far as the development for Windows Store is considered in RAD Studio. I'm going to minimize my virtual machine again and come back to the slides. So yeah, what I have been showing you so far is just everything you need to know about building Appx packages. So Appx package can be built either locally, so you can create your own certificate and deploy it locally, or you can go for publishing into the App Store. So you need to register as an app developer. You can, as part of the registration, you need to specify the type of a payment and your country, and then you can pay with PayPal or credit card. And then once you have an account, Then you can start by creating a new application by reserving a name. So in my case, I have reserved a molecule hero name. And on the next page, you have all information on the dashboard. So you can specify different things related to your application. And also, this depends on the application lifetime and life cycle. So over time, your application may be on the App Store, Windows Store for longer, and you can actually see and different statistics of usage, or you can have more than one submission. For the first submission, you need to go to the app identity and you need to copy this information into your project options when you are going to build for Windows Store publishing. So these are some of the options you need to specify. So most importantly, you need to go to the application itself where you specify your icons, and in the provisioning you specify enter all information that you take from the app identity section on the dashboard of the Windows Store. Okay, so that's it for this presentation. So I hope that you have enjoyed it. So there is lots of information available currently. There is a special Windows Bridge page on RAD Studio portal, and also on our community there is plenty of information. So specifically, I'm going to by the end of this day, you will see on my blog also all the links and information that was presented on this webinar. Also, DocWiki, our online documentation, is great, probably the best resource of technical information about RAD Studio. So you will also find their information that is specific to new features like Appx Development introduced in update 2. Okay, so that was it. I'm going to have a look into the question pane. So I see quite a number of questions. So, but first I'm going to very quickly go through those questions. Yes, we need to use Delphi RAD Studio on Windows 10 to generate Appx files. Actually, that's a good question. Yes, you need, because you need to have access to Windows 10 SDK. So it has to be this version of Windows 10 Anniversary Edition. Yeah, and yes, this presentation was recorded. Appx packages cannot be installed on older versions of Windows. It is required that it is a Windows Anniversary Edition, because this feature was just not available in the previous versions of Windows, like Windows 7 or Windows 8. We have just one configuration for store and ad hoc. So that's this is how it is organized. So on the level of the application, on the project, first of all, you can have a different build configuration, either build, either debug or release, and then you can have just a configuration for normal development. Then you can create just an executable. If you select configuration for App Store, the ID will also create for you Appx package. Okay, thank you very much for nice comments from Thomas. Very exciting. So I'm also very excited. So that's completes the questions that I see in a question pane. So this presentation was recorded. The recording will be made available to everybody, and information will be also available on the community website. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy RAD Studio development. Thank you very much.